Welcome into Trust the Process Live. And by my account, it is Dame time, it looks like.
Oh,
That's what the watch reads. And just like we're coming at you at Dame time, you can catch us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, anywhere in between. You know where to find us. Trust the Process Live, TTPL. Philly is where you can find us and catch up if you are not with us live every Monday. And sometime, well, we're not going to come at you Tuesday anymore because we don't have the Sixers to dance around. Unfortunately, I would prefer to be doing Tuesday shows, but we cannot any longer.
No.
As always, I'm your host, James Hyden, here with my guys, the YG young gentleman, James Jackson himself, the official burner account of Jay Williams. How you doing, fella?
I'm good, man. Look, I got the Jay Williams on the board behind me because I stand with my man Jay. Like I love me some Jay Williams. I'm a big Jay Williams fan, and that gives me the privilege to say this. Jay, sometimes you can just say my bad. I forgot about Doc Rivers. That's okay, man. It's okay. We all forget something every now. Just say my bad. You don't got to do the fake I got hacked thing. No one bought it. Just be like my fault. Forgot about Doc.
Nah, Jay Will's got a reputation to uphold.
I guess tarnished now. We all know he was lying.
Wow,
No one believed the my account got hacked.
We'll see what Jay Will can recover. But my guy Doc Lock, Josh Safran, what's up with you? How you doing this week?
Oh man, was doing good this week until right before the show. All I'm gonna say is there was a bottle of limoncello in the fridge at my house, and there is no longer a bottle of limoncello at my house. Where it went, I don't know. But time to talk sports, fellas.
Let's do it.
Wow. Almost like Ben Simmons got his bottle of limoncello swiped from out under him. Speaking of Ben Simmons, that's where our first topic of conversation is going to go. Boys, I got to ask you, because this is, I explained my outlook last week, and I'm still in the firm camp that Ben Simmons is going to be here. It is what it is. So with that being said, I got to ask you, fixed shot or trading block? Okay, are we believing that's fixed shot talk, or is it out the door? And Josh, I'm going to come to you with this one first. Are we fixing them? Or are we trading them? Do you
Very
believe
interested to hear.
that it can be fixed? Because there's these talks about him being willing to switch his shooting hand. It's him now opting out of the Olympics to focus on it. Give me the rundown.
Man, I don't know what the hell's going on with this guy. Like, I want to believe it. Does that count? Like, I want to be able to believe it, but like, what do I have to go off of that should tell me he's gonna fix his shot this time? Every single offseason, it's the videos of Ben Simmons shooting threes. Our guy, Zach James, threw the video up on a story last week showing Ben Simmons pulling up from 30 feet in like a pickup game like it was nothing. So, man, I believe he's going to work on the shot. But from all accounts, from all offseason videos, I've seen that the shot's there. This shot, like, I know he can shoot. It's just a matter of doing it in game. So maybe he can fix his shot. That's all good and great. But fix the shot in the game. That's my long answer. I mean, short answer. My short answer is, as Brandon Apter chimes in, saying it's been an eternity since the loss. Yeah, I know. It hurts.
What up, Brandon? I know my man Brandon hurting.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been
an eternity.
Like it feels like 3 weeks damn near. I don't know why, but it's just like it's and maybe it's because these are like the title says, we are now getting into the dog days, boys. This is the heat of summer, no pun intended, because it was hot outside today. But these are the dog days, and it might just exacerbate it a little bit more as our Phillies should have swept the Mets. But we'll get into that a little bit later. And Josh, to your point, man, I've been seeing some summer league highlights pop up.
Dude, it's so depressing.
It's really sad.
As if my pain wasn't bad enough.
Yeah.
I have to be reminded of these summer league highlights of Ben Simmons popping up. I don't even know what to say, boys. JJ, am I fixing him or am I trading him? I'm Daryl Morey. You speak to me as if I am D Moore. What am I doing?
D Moore.
You're Demo now. All right, if you're Demo,
talk to me.
If you're Demo, you just can't take that risk. So it's trade Ben Simmons. Now, okay. I think if you're Ben Simmons and even if you're Daryl Morey, you appreciate what Ben Simmons is saying because you have to still have a team buy into what Ben Simmons could be. That you're still selling the dream of what he could be. So if he says that, you know, he's going to be in the summer or in the gym this summer, all summer working on his jump shot, you want him saying stuff like that. You want videos popping up. You want work coming out because that just drives his market value up. You need someone to bite on that. But if I'm Daryl Morey in the Sixers, it's run its course. Like this is now going into year 5. We've given them every excuse in the book, every workaround, every different type of team, and it looked like it hit rock bottom. It hasn't looked this bad. Like it hasn't been this glaringly bad maybe since his rookie year. Like it is starting now to go on a decline. And at some point, you have to walk away from such a toxic relationship of this idealized version of Ben Simmons that everyone wants to happen. That is just not going to happen. And he may work on another team. He just won't work on the Sixers. And I think at this point, you have to realize that it's over. We've run our course with Ben Simmons. Before it completely runs into the ground, let's get something for him. Because really quick, Josh, because if you don't take that risk, I'm sorry, if you do take that risk and you hold on to Ben Simmons and it doesn't work out again, now everyone sees it. It is exposed to everyone now, and you are now stuck with Ben Simmons unless you trade him for a late second round pick and some pick swaps. Like,
don't say that.
I mean, and now it is on high alert for everybody. If you take him back and the weaknesses are this glaring yet again, then you can't get rid of him. So
it's funny because like I'm not trying to be a Ben Simmons apologist here, but the farther I get removed from the 76ers season, the more faith I'm starting to have that teams will value him. You get what I'm saying? Like,
we'll get to that.
Okay, all right, I'll let you get to that. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know about the two of you, but I mean, super just like knee jerk, like anger after that playoffs, and I was like, who would trade a rack of basketballs for this guy? Now, as the week's gone on, I'm starting to think like maybe like JJ, like kind of exactly what you said. Like my initial thought after the season was kind of what you were saying, Banners, where it's like there's no way you're gonna be able to trade him. So I was saying set a hard date and say let Ben Simmons play for the Sixers and try and showcase what he's good at. So then maybe you can drive the value back up. But now JJ, I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's like you don't want him to come back next season and like not improved at all. Like that's the worst case scenario for the Sixers.
I'm with JJ here. And I think this is going to rub a lot of Philadelphia fans the wrong way. You want to see the social media posts. You want to see them now. You want to see it. But the thing is, right there, it's either there's only two ways that this doesn't upset people in the greater Philadelphia area. Okay. Excuse me. You either need to unfollow Ben Simmons so you don't see him, or there needs to be some way implemented in every social media platform, excuse me, that it can only be shown to certain regions of the United States. Like it's everybody in Philadelphia. It's like, it's not only going to be people that just you don't want to see this, like these posts, like, oh, I'm in the gym, I'm working with LeBron James. I'm here. I'm switching my shooting hand. I'm right-handed. Surprise. That's not going to go well. You know what I mean? That's not going to go well here. But outside, people want to see that. Like here, like people in the greater Philadelphia area, those comment sections are going to be a nightmare. Like it is what it is.
We're done sipping the Kool-Aid. Like that's really what it is. It's the empty gym Kool-Aid. So look, that's a good point. If 29 other cities want to suck it up, by all means. But
and you're hoping they do.
That's what I mean. You gotta big talk your way into this thing. Like it's you gotta sell like because I there's two ways this could go. And the Sixers have to, I guess, choose which marketing path they want to use on Ben Simmons. You either have to try to sell still what he could be, or you have to go to a specific team and sell what he is to them. And I think which path you choose dictates, which I would say perspective of the trade you're looking for. Because
I would say that the market is going to dictate which path they choose.
Yes. And I think the market will be what he can be still. After that's kind of what I was saying a minute ago. Like I can't blame you for that reaction, Banners. Like it's hard. It's really hard to tell. But I just gotta imagine that there's gonna be at least 2 or 3 teams pushing the envelope that really believe like, hey, let me get my hands on him because he's a freak of nature. Like
I would
he should
disagree.
be. Really?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very shallow market in terms of teams that are taking him for what he is. I don't think anybody who's in a GM role is really going to bite and give up assets for what he could be. Right now you're looking at a market of people who have a crowded backcourt with somebody who can get their own shot. I've laid out the market beforehand. To me, what it is: Portland, Minnesota, OKC for more capital, stuff like that. People with a backcourt of the new template of a guard that gets their shots. The Steph Currys, the Dame Lillards, those kind of guards, and what it looks to be like Ant Harris is up in Minnesota. Like it's those kind of guards that he needs to fit alongside with. You know what I mean? So it's we're talking right now. So why don't we just jump right into it?
Yeah. Let's beat around the bush.
Why don't we jump right into it? I told you we went live at Dame o'clock. We went live at Dame time. So check those watches.
Yeah.
We're talking about these trade packages for Dame Lillard. And the speculation beforehand was all CJ McCollum this because nobody really believed that Dame Lillard could be available. But
they went and got Chauncey. He didn't like that.
They went and got Chauncey after not listening to him. Dame goes, all right, here's my list. And they didn't even talk to anybody on the list. Like if we're making a list about ways to piss your superstar off, one of the most loyal people to ever put on a jersey.
It's almost like that. It's almost like them telling him like we don't care if you leave or not. Like that's it's almost the message that you send.
Right. One of the most loyal players to ever put on a jersey for any professional franchise in the past 15 years. Mm-hmm. He has been nothing but loyal to that organization. And they go out and do this? Ooh, say it with me now. That's a little shaky.
There's a city who don't do that. There's a city who don't do a lot for the stars.
So, gentlemen, what would the potential trade be? Okay, what are we talking about for Dame Lillard? And what I want to add on to this is who would you not give up? So build me a trade package and give like 1A, give me a trade package, and 1B, give me one piece that you wouldn't give up for Dame. So trade package and what you wouldn't give up in that trade package. JJ.
It's so funny that we're talking about this because even before these rumors, started, like the actual rumblings on Twitter, about maybe 5 or 6 days ago, one of my friends just put this randomly in a group chat we had. He said, "What do you think about this trade? Ben and Tobias for Dame Lillard." It wasn't straight up. It had a lot of picks involved and everything. But it sparked such a debate that we talked about it for days on end. And then all of a sudden we get on Twitter and people are actually talking about Damian Lillard coming to Philly now. So we're all cracking up about that. But the package you'd have to get for Damian Lillard, it would have to make sense for the Sixers and do something for their cap. Because what is the double whammy of keeping Ben Simmons is your cap is loaded next year. Like 3 contracts with all making $30 million next year. So the money's got to work. It can't just be Dame. Like the money's got to work. Getting just Dame Lillard frees about $30 million of cap. He's also a $30 million cap hit. So it frees about $30 million in cap, which means you don't have a lot of money to go and get, another coveted high free agent. So as a wing scorer. So off the top of my head, you got to put a package together that involves Ben Simmons. And since the Portland Trailblazers now have a new head coach and are trading their superstar, you have to assume to them that they're blowing it up and looking for the future. Guys like Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle are going to be, buzzwords for them because these are guys that have high upsides, high ceilings. You look to their future. I think you make that kind of move, Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, and then the entire pick swap deal, I think gets you Damian Lillard and might get you Robert Covington too.
Ooh, you're speaking my language.
I was hoping he was going to say it.
And bring Cove back. Because when you move Ben Simmons, you lose a whole lot of defense. Now, you still have 2 All-NBA defenders on your team, but why not bring back a little bit of defense? By the way, Robert Covington's also a spotted 3-point shooter as well. You take care of some shooting as well. Daryl might be able to sweet talk his way into getting some Cove too. But the answer part B of that question, name someone who's untouchable, who's not Joel Embiid, not a damn person. Look, it would take a lot to give up Seth Curry, but this is a business, baby. And if I can get a presumably top 5 player in the NBA and Damian Lillard, top 5, top 10 player in the league like Damian Lillard, I'm not coveting Seth Curry. Seth Curry's not the one I covet. I'm sorry. Like he great player. Love to see him back in a Sixers uniform. Do what you can to bring him back. He's a do or die situation. But if that's what they need to get it done, and you put the right package together, Seth can be in a package. Yeah. Joel Embiid is the only player that should be off limits for the Sixers. The only one.
Josh, can I go off of that? Because
Go ahead. Give me some.
I don't know. Me personally, I don't know if you can take Tobias. I don't know if they want to take Tobias because the point you laid out with the rebuilding, it would take too much for them to take on that contract and then try and flip him. Like you saw it with the Al Horford. Even OKC couldn't flip him until Brad Stevens came calling, because that is just like, it's not even nepotism. It might just be stupidity and whatever that whole situation was. So to me, I mean, it's Ben Simmons, and Dame Lillard now makes Tyrese Maxey expendable, because Tyrese Maxey's ceiling is the pick and roll point guard that you want, but without the reliable jump shot. You know what I mean? So he becomes a lot more expendable. So to me, I'm kind of playing it coy, like, ooh, I don't know if I want to give you Maxey, but if it gets me, you know what I mean? I'm playing one of those roles, because to me, my 1B, the player who's untouchable outside of, obviously I should have prefaced this, Joel Embiid is absolutely untouchable. My 1B who I want to keep is Matisse Thybulle.
Yes.
I still believe that Matisse's ceiling is something that is really an albatross in this league, that like he's an all NBA defensive team, first team all NBA defensive team player.
But that's all he is. That's all he is. And I'm not coveting that for Damian Lillard.
And that's fine. But if you're giving up Ben Simmons, you're now giving up so much defense that who else can you defend? Can you depend on the defensive end? Ben's gone.
That's true. I mean, most teams would be lucky to have an all-NBA defender on their team.
Exactly.
A lot of teams have won champions, and you still have one. With Joel Embiid, you still have an all-NBA defender. And if you get Cove, you get a former all-NBA defender.
And to me, I'm trying to build this without Matisse, because if you can return me Covington, you now have Embiid, Cove, and Matisse to at least recap some of that defense. So my package for Dame would be somewhat of would be obviously Ben, Tyrese. I would try and include Danny Green in there for the numbers to at least sort of match up with Cove coming back, and it's going to be a lot of picks, some pick swaps, maybe George Hill included in there a little bit. That's what I mean. Like it's to me, George Hill is probably going to get outrighted towards the buyout market. I'm doing everything to make this work. You know what I mean? And I produced the show for Mark Farzetta. We had Hunter Brody, Broads of Broads Media, and now 97.5 on this morning. And he said something that I really kind of identified with. He said, I'm not doing this trade if it makes you worse. But what I will do is if it makes you the same, but it returns you to being able to play 5-on-5 basketball.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
So that kind of struck me as, okay, yeah, because let's be honest, the Sixers have not played 5-on-5 basketball in the fourth quarter in a very long time. What has Ben Simmons best at? Transition basketball. Where does transition basketball not happen? In the fourth quarter of playoff basketball games.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So if this can return me to status quo playing 5-on-5, yeah, I'm in.
I do hear you banners about the Matisse Thybulle point. I just think we're forgetting we're talking about Damian Lillard here. I think what you get in offense, especially for your team, what it does for you might offset what you lose on defense.
Wasn't there a team this year that we said that same thing about?
Yeah.
But they got hurt.
Who doesn't get hurt?
Damian Lillard.
The NBA is a war of attrition.
Yeah.
Dame doesn't miss a whole bunch of time. The guy you're going to get
that shit out in the universe, bro.
Huh?
Do you just like poking the bear? Why would you put that out in the universe?
I mean, hey.
But
then you ask the question. That's the point. And you can't. You can't rely on injuries. You can't hope for injuries. You can't like predict them.
True,
So
true.
Uh,
And I'd say at this point, the only injury you can rely on is Embiid at the end of the season. As sad as that is, like you're going to have to rely on that. Which
and
is
Damian
why
Lillard is quite the safety net. Damian Lillard is quite the
that's
safety net.
exactly what I'm saying. Which is why you need to shift the farm to get this guy, because I've said it before. I love Embiid to death, but his prime is not going to be the same as another NBA player's prime. Like this guy is fragile. You know what I mean? Like his prime might be 3 or 4 years, opposed to a nice 5-6 year stretch. So look, you got to go out and get Dame Lillard. And Banners, you brought up the Farzi show. Mark, he also said something that I love today about. He said he was like, wait for it. They might actually run the pick and roll, which it's never been more glaringly obvious than this round of the playoffs that you can't do it. The brand of basketball that the Sixers have been playing for the last 4 years has basically been the polar opposite of what 29 other teams in the NBA are doing. And it's just not going to work. It's just not
they got taken apart by it. Literally the offense you want to run, they got taken apart by it by the Atlanta Hawks.
Exactly, by the Atlanta Hawks. And you're seeing what happens with the Atlanta Hawks, who, listen, I know they're down 2-1. I don't think they have any business competing with the Bucks, and they are because of Trae Young. I mean, he might not put up 47 points every game, but it's that threat of that guy on the court and his skill and his quickness. Get that to Philadelphia. And Banners, you stole my trade package. I got Simmons, Maxey, and send him 3 first-round picks, throw in a swap or 2 in there also if you have to. Get it done. Just make sure we keep Thibault. That's what I'm saying. He's the only untouchable, because let's throw it back a few weeks ago when we had our guy Brandon Apter on the show, and we were foolishly looking past the Hawks, and we were also foolishly
y'all were foolishly looking past the Hawks.
I was foolishly
y'all were
looking past the Hawks.
Me wasn't on that show. Don't put that evil on me.
You weren't. You weren't.
This one here.
I'll put it on me. I was looking past the Hawks. I also was looking past the Bucks. And I mean, look, I think a lot of America was doing the same thing too. I mean, we all wanted to see the Sixers and the Nets at crash course of the Eastern Conference Finals. And all year, the Nets are the better team. Like all in all, I thought the Nets were the better team than the Sixers. But the one reason I don't want to say faith, like I wasn't confident in the Sixers, but the one reason I had hope for a Sixers-Nets series was Matisse Thybulle. Because you would be hard-pressed to find a team in recent NBA history that has 3 legitimate all-NBA defensive players. Like, for each all-NBA player that the Nets had, we had a potential stopper, which I don't think you could say that about any other team. So if you're getting rid of one of those stoppers, I don't want to ship Thybulle with him, because he's a weapon. Like, there's not a lot of defensive weapons in the NBA, like the history of the NBA. Can you, like – Tony Allen, other than there's only a handful of real defensive stopping.
The last real one was Gary Payton.
So I gotta throw some names before Tony Allen. I won't nitpick though.
Yeah, last real one was Gary Payton.
And so Josh, you're right. Matisse Thybulle was a defensive weapon. Name me how many players in the NBA like Damian Lillard are floating around there on the market available for you.
Well, I think Josh's point. I think Josh and my point is rather like let's swap Maxey and Thybulle. That doesn't we're trying to retain as much for a Sixers championship run as possible, because if you swap Maxey and Thybulle, Maxey automatically takes at least 65% minute cut, just because you have somebody who plays a similar and better style of what Maxey is, and you're leaving a hole.
Well, but also you also for the first time in since I've been a Sixers fan, you have a surplus of guards then, which is crazy to say. I mean, what do you do?
Do you though?
I mean, maybe not in terms of
not available, but there's a surplus of guards in the NBA.
Well, not in terms of skill and those talented guards, but you got let's go over it. All right, Dame, Curry, Maxey, Hill, Shake. What are you gonna do with all those guys? That's just too many guards.
Well, here's the thing. Having Matisse available and making him untouchable are 2 different things. I'm not saying Matisse is in your first package, your first offer to him. But if they call back and say, take whoever out for Matisse Thybulle, that can't be the deal breaker.
No, you're right.
That cannot be the deal breaker.
If it's really hey, Philly, we only
And
want
it's fair.
Thibault, or else it's not happening.
You know, if they call back and on top, like the Rockets did, on top of what you offer, I want Thibault 2. Now you're asking for too much. But
Yeah.
if they take something out and say, we're not really high on this Maxey guy, how about Matisse Thibault? We like Matisse Thibault. That can't be the deal breaker. It can't be like, no, Thibault's untouchable. That's still a get it done thing. We didn't want to have to do it. That kind of sucks, but let's get that done. I'm not coveting Matisse.
So real quickly, 2 questions on top of that. One, if that trade package goes through and you're shipping everybody out, Maxey, Thibault, and Ben Simmons at least, is that team a championship contender with Dame Lillard and Joel Embiid while being gutted? And then 2, does having Dame Lillard then mitigate the injury risk to Joel Embiid because of the scoring? You can sit him more often.
I wouldn't say it mitigates it. You know what I mean? Like
what it does is I think takes a lot. It does it. It makes Joel not press as much. And I think maybe some of the reason he gets hurt is he stresses himself too much trying to score, trying to do, be the hero on offense. It puts a lot of wear and stress on your body. You don't have to worry about that. I can't remember who it was, but somebody, I believe on this show, said you get Damian Lillard and it allows Joel Embiid to not be 40-point Joel Embiid every single night and have to do that. He can go back to 28, 29 a game, which will win you a championship or which will contend for a championship still. He doesn't have to be 35 to 38 a night. He could be 28 to 29 while Dame is also being 29 to 30 plus.
I to answer the first question, Banners, I really believe that if Damian Lillard is paired up with Embiid, and Thibault's not the be-all, end-all, but like if Thibault's here also, the Sixers are like at the top of the top in terms of contenders. Like I think a Dame Embiid pairing, especially considering what we just saw from the Lakers, right? Like I don't know if you can pencil them in as a sure top tier contender. Like I'm not sure what we're going to see from LeBron next year, right? Like every year it's like, okay, LeBron and then a bunch of other guys, like in terms of contending. I think if Dame comes to Philly, the Sixers are one of the first names you're talking about in terms of championship when next season starts. Because what else is there? Like look at the teams in the championship right now, right? Like the 4 teams left. You're telling me Dame and Embiid, like you would take any of the 4 teams now?
I would. I take one. I take one of them.
Which one? The Phoenix Suns?
I take the Phoenix Suns over all of them. Over everybody.
I can't bash you for that, JJ. And like, sure, I'm a homer, no doubt. But dude, Dame and Embiid, like I just
CP and DA making a run for that bit. I'm obviously being biased myself. But the more I think about it, the more the more I think that Dame and Joel would benefit so much from each other. Look what both of their careers have lacked. Dame hasn't had that, reliable, established big man since LaMarcus Aldridge left, and he's been big on how. I mean, Nurkic is a good center, reliable though. Nurkic missed more games than he played damn near in Portland. I'm talking about reliable for dependable to go to. Hasn't had one since LaMarcus Aldridge really. And Joel has never had a guard like Dame, has never had a primary scoring point guard. Keeper Stack has never. Ben and Joel have kind of been there with each other the entire time.
So wait, let me throw this out there. I'll take it a step further. What if they get Dame? Do you think the Sixers would be like number 1 in terms of
not number 1? Because I mean, it's hard because remember, LeBron and AD come back healthy next year. They're going to be presumed number 1. The Nets come back healthy again. They're going to be up there as well. The Bucks earned a lot of people's respect, especially if the Bucks
forgot about them.
Especially when the Bucks beat the Hawks and go to the finals. Whatever they do in the finals, they'll come back amongst the top. Like those are all teams that their core has been together. They've proved something. They'll go on. Dame and Joel will be brand new. They'll be amongst the top. They won't be the number 1 to win the title.
I would say power rankings definitely not in the top 2, but like on paper, if you were to put on a starting 5 of, I mean, let's play this out. Dame, Seth, assuming Cove would come back in that trade, Tobias and Embiid. That's like to me, I think the only starting 5 I would put above that would be the Suns because we got to be honest. Like the Suns are a very very well put together starting 5. Like everybody complements each other. extremely well, and I'm sorry, the Nets would be ahead of that as well. So the Sixers would be damn near 3 or 4 starting 5 on paper, but
I can get with that.
you can't. And I ripped him last week. Doc Rivers is still the coach, boys.
Yeah, and he's not going anywhere. And whatever. Let's not do this.
Let's not.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to get on my soapbox again like that.
Nope.
So we touched on it right there with the teams that are still in these playoffs. Watching these playoffs, do we really feel like the Sixers would have had a legitimate chance to win these finals? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel. It's the Western. I think the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals are a little bit different.
Yeah.
So different. Yeah. So different.
Yeah. Tell me about these chances.
That's what I was going to answer. I don't think they would have much of a chance to beat even the Clippers. Like the teams in the West are playing are a different brand of basketball. They're playing completely different. I got to really see how the Hawks bounce back from losing that game in Atlanta, allowing Chris Middleton to pop off on you for 20. Like I'm not sure what I'm seeing in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not sure if I'm seeing a Bucks team that is finally ready to handle business, or if I'm just seeing an Atlanta Hawks team where like the magic has run out. You know, like it's gone far enough. You know, I'm not sure how to really judge this Eastern Conference Finals just yet. But I don't think it's tough. Against the Western Conference, no. Against the Eastern Conference, it's tough because the Sixers beat themselves. Like it's hard to judge if they have a chance or not because they beat themselves. Like they didn't give themselves a fair fight. How do I judge that?
Yeah. Does it feel like all the Eastern Conference teams are built, I don't want to say wrong, but with a very different theme in mind? Like the Western Conference teams feel like classically built NBA rosters, at least to the current game of an NBA team. Does it feel like every Eastern Conference team feels like they have like a niche theme involved? Like the Sixers are trying to make two people whose play styles don't work together work.
The Bucks have a defensive mindset.
Right. The Bucks have a defensive mindset with a guy who airballs 3 free throws consistently. The Nets literally just put scoring on the board and said, "Fuck defense."
So do the Hawks.
Does it feel like it feels like they're playing 2 different games of basketball?
Yeah, you can go down a lot of them. The Knicks, their primary scorer is a stretch 4 who can't really hunt his own shot that much. It's funny because they're on the bottom tier, but teams that are like the most well constructed in terms of where guys are on the floor are like the Celtics, the Hornets. Like if you think of how their teams are constructed, like the Hornets might have the most balanced quote unquote roster of these Eastern Conference teams. They're just not as talented as these rosters.
Right.
But you look at where the people are on the floor, like that's your prototypical NBA roster right there.
Right. Yeah, that's weird, Josh. What are these? How are you feeling watching these later playoff games?
I feel like it's a bit of a reality check, honestly. Like I really talked myself into the Sixers being a legit threat for the finals this year, and I don't know, watching the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals, it's just I don't think they really had a chance. Like there was nothing from that Hawks series that showed me like, oh man, like if only they won Game 7. You know what I mean? Like when Kawhi hit the shot, that's how I felt. Like, and that's how I still feel. I still feel like the Sixers would have won the championship that year. And I totally don't feel that way. Like I kind of wish I did, but I mean, maybe it's just the recency bias of that Hawks series, but that's how the NBA playoffs work. You got to go off recency bias because you do whatever you want all season long. This is where it matters. And JJ, I mean, you said it. They did beat themselves, but there was nothing to show me that they were ever going to stop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the Bucks would have. I think any of the 3 teams aside from the Hawks, it would have been a gentleman's sweep. And I hate to say it. Like I love.
I disagree.
Really? Well,
I disagree.
What do you got to say here?
Look at the way those games. Like if we look at the. I don't want to say point differential, but like look at the results of each game. The losses were self-implosions.
Yeah, but
the blowouts
were
in the Sixers' favor. So it's and this is the biggest what if in history. Like what if the Sixers didn't self-implode in those games.
But they did.
No,
Yeah,
I know.
What if they won every game this year?
And I know, and I guess I'm strictly talking about talent. Like I don't
For sure.
believe in the Bucks.
Oh no, me
Like,
neither.
no matter if Chris Middleton continues to go off in the
That's
fourth
why
quarter.
I don't believe in the Bucks.
That's
Chris
exactly,
Middleton has to go off for them to win games. That's why I don't believe in the Bucks.
I just don't believe in the Bucks. So like and again, the Sixers never played a game against the big three, a healthy big three in Brooklyn, and who knows? Nobody might ever play a game against a healthy big three in Brooklyn. We just don't know how that's going to go. But like, I don't know if we can like really just, sure, the self implosions were historically bad, and I'm not giving anybody a pass. But if we're going to strictly look at this team, like, the losses were excruciatingly bad because they were so close. You know what I mean? Like, it's and they were only so close because of the Sixers' deficiencies. So I think I think recency bias is correct, Josh. I think we're just still so jaded at the way they lost. We're discounting them even further than they truly deserve to. Because let's be honest, and again, I'm not going to speculate on a net series, but like you're not going to tell me that the Bucks Sixers series would have at least been entertaining, and whoever came out of that like deserved to go to the finals because I think it would have
been. I think it would have reminded us of old school basketball because I think it would have been very physical, very low scoring, and high intensity the entire time. Both of them have very, very rowdy home courts. Both of them are defensive minded. They're both like bigger teams, above average in height and stature. Both have versatile defenders. PJ Tucker for the Bucks, Ben Simmons for the Sixers. Like I think it would have reminded us of some. Shaq would have been loving this series. Shaq would have been loving that series.
So I just think we're discounting them a little bit too much because it is still a talented roster, but there are major flaws that I think are jading us a little bit further. Because I'm not saying they would have beat either team out of the West. I'm just saying that let's not discount everybody else on the Sixers roster because we're discounting two key people. You know what I mean?
Well, as in who? Toby and Ben?
Ben and Doc, and three people. Let's throw Tobias in there just because there's only so many times I can hear, oh, it was a quiet 25-point night. I don't want quiet points. When you get to the NBA playoffs, I want a loud 30. I want a 30 in your face. I don't need a quiet 20 points where you're incredibly inefficient from the floor. I want 30 in your face and seal the series. You know what I mean?
Yes. No, I was looking over. I was giving Chris Middleton a pat on the back because I don't believe in him. I don't believe in him. Let's be real. But I can't argue with what I've seen in these playoffs. He makes the shots in crunch time, and that's credit where credit's due. Chris Middleton's stat line from Game 7 against the Nets, I call it the anti-Tobias Harris game. Because if you look at the stat line, it looks exactly like a Tobias Harris stat line, except he did it the opposite way around.
Yeah, he did it in the fourth instead of the second.
Exactly. So that's to me, that's why I feel like they didn't really have a chance. Like, unless Toby was all of a sudden gonna step it up, like as long as Simmons and Toby were gonna play that way, which I think they were, and Embiid, let's face it, not 100%, and he couldn't carry the team, and I'm not sure how much a 100% Embiid can carry this team in the playoffs. I'm sorry, I love you, Embiid. It's just this how the NBA is nowadays. And so I really don't think they had a chance. Like I hear you, and I want to believe this team. I do think they're more talented than half the teams. No, I don't believe that.
Let's look at the Bucks though. Like, and as much as I'll rip on Tobias Harris, you have Embiid going for anywhere from 28 to 40 realistically in a playoff game. You have Seth Curry, who was on an incredible hot streak as a 20-point per game scorer, and then you have Tobias Harris giving you 20 quiet points. Let's take a look at this Bucks game. The next closest scorer behind Giannis at 33 and Chris Middleton at 38 is Bobby Portis with 15.
Yeah.
So maybe a quiet 20 points gets the job done against a Bucks team who, outside of those two, who's giving you scoring?
There's no scoring.
You could have said that about
Drew. No, because Drew Holiday has had his game, and he's supposed to be a 20-point tennis guy. Yeah. And
Drew gave you 6.
He's still but that's bad. But that's bad. Like he's not expected to give that. That's bad of Drew.
So Drew Holiday and Ben Simmons pretty much cancel each other out at that
If
point.
Drew,
If
if
we're
Drew
being
does that about 3-4 more times in this series, yeah.
if we're being honest, and he would like.
You throw Seth
Brook
Curry,
Lopez was a -17, boys. Like,
which actually is very uncharacteristic of Brook
Right.
Lopez.
I was just gonna say. I mean, like I don't know. I was overconfident, and I think the Bucks match up really nicely against the Sixers with Brook Lopez. He's not gonna stop Embiid, but he's a good guy to be guarding Embiid compared to any of the other teams. Like Capella did a fine job, but I think Lopez would do even better. And then you stick Seth Curry on who? Like Connaughton, and then Connaughton's height is going to dominate him just like Herter did. So, look, I don't think Connaughton's anything, but we saw what happened when you stick Seth Curry on someone who can shoot and is taller than him. So I don't know.
I'm just not sold on these Bucks boys because I'm going back to the game where they scored 125, and sure, Drew gives you 22, but then Middleton's back at 15. Like you don't have tertiary scoring on any given night. It's just
They rotate.
Well, but that rotation's fine, but rotation's fine as a 4 or 5 option scoring because the Sixers, like it or not, as much as I'm going to rip this quiet 20 points out of Tobias, that's at least 60 points accounted for out of 3 guys. Who on the Bucks gives you that?
I got no answer.
I
think
think
Chris Middleton both go for 30.
Get out of here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Last night, the only time. So I'm just saying, I think recency bias is getting to us a little bit. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. The Sixers are still a talented roster. I'm not saying they would have won the championship.
Yeah.
But we're harping on the faults of 1, 2, maybe 3.
I'm harping on 3. I think that's the difference. You might be harping on 2. I'm harping on 3.
Okay, that's fine. Let's see. We have a comment here. Dame and Joel together would be another Donovan Mitchell and Rudy. Not enough for a championship. Get out of here.
First of all,
Embiid and Rudy.
It's a huge upgrade at both of those.
Out of here.
Yeah, that's crazy. 1, the comparison's wrong. 2, the not enough to win a championship is wrong. Gives you a hell of a lot better chance than you had this year.
Right.
I'll tell you that right now.
Is this guy seriously saying that Donovan Mitchell and Dame are like on level playing fields, and then Rudy and Joel are?
To play a little bit of devil's advocate here, Mitchell and Dame are a closer comparison than Rudy.
It's the Rudy Gobert, Joel Embiid thing that throws it way left.
That is some slander.
My goodness. I mean, it's like the comp is there. It's just like Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert would be the Walmart version of Dame and Joel.
No, Rudy Gobert is the thrown in the left on the side of the street with a free sign on it version of Joel Embiid. Like that's not. Yeah, Rudy Gobert isn't sold in stores.
That's a futon you don't want anymore on the curb.
That's moving out of college, giving the furniture away version.
Yeah, all that like off-brand IKEA shit, like the Walmart IKEA stuff. Like it's no, thank you. So I mean, thanks for the comment, but
I do like the comment. It got us all rowdy, but like, man, don't do that to Joe.
Joel didn't deserve that one.
That was tough, man. I know I was a little angry at Embiid, but even I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that.
All right, boys, let's get on our horse. Let's walk across this stadium complex down here. Let's walk across the street. Talk about our Phils. Oh boy, they could have swept the Mets. They could have gained a nice chunk of ground there on this 4-game deficit behind the Mets. Instead, Hector Neris is still the closer. For some ungodly known reason, a guy who, 1, should never have been named the closer of this team in the first place, however many years ago, and 2, who was on the wrong side of 30 as of a couple years ago, seeing a big drop off in fastball velocity, is leaving splitters up. When your splitter's your main pitch and you start leaving it up, that tells you you're losing it if you ever had it in the first place. It's just, that's so bad. Hopefully guys like Archie Bradley can step in and kind of take over that role. I don't even want to talk about the Rhys Hoskins flub over at first and his comments. I'm tired of hearing their tough plays. You get paid to make tough plays. You are in the you're in the MLB. You get paid to make tough plays. So can our Phils be fixed, Josh? Can we fix these Phils?
Stop me if you've heard this one before, Banners, but regarding the playoffs, if they don't, they don't. That's kind of how I'm feeling. If they don't make the playoffs, they don't. There's not a move to be made. There's not at the beginning of the year, it was like, oh, let's get a center fielder, and this could be a real good team. No, it's not. It's not a get one position. It's an organizational failure over the course of 10 years. And when Bryce Harper, when your star player is calling out the whole organization and he's correct at the same time, and I'm referencing Bryce Harper, I think someone asked him about like, hey, what do you have to do to show Dave Dombrowski that you should be buyers at the trade deadline? And he just starts being like, I don't even know. I mean, who would we even trade? We have no one in the minor leagues that like we could even really trade. Like when you start players saying that,
you want me to? I'll give you in-depth Phillies pipeline.
I don't want to trade them though. Like what do we want to ship the farm for this? The small amount of farm that is really left.
It's Dombrowski's fingerprint
for a 500 ball club that is just lifeless. They really feel lifeless. And I mean, look, I think it was a pretty good series all in all against the Mets, which is crazy considering they split it. I mean, it's just you could have beaten DeGrom. That first game was the first game of the doubleheader was tear your hair out frustrating. And I just think that's very indicative of what this team is. They might have the ability, they might have the talent sometimes, but they're missing an it factor. And I don't know what that is to attribute to, but I don't think they can be fixed this season. And I don't know how the two of you are feeling, but I'm not optimistic for next year either.
You know you're feeling, Josh?
Where to go? You're
feeling either deflated or dejected. I can't seem to put my finger on which word. That's kind of where I am. When your ace, who by the way loved Knowles, hasn't been giving you that much of an ace of a season this year.
Zach Wheeler's my ace.
Zach Wheeler has been. But my point is, when he finally comes out and gives you one of those against a dude in the league who's been doing stuff that I've never seen a starting pitcher do. So when he gets the best of him for one game, breaks a record that's been standing for 50 some odd years, 40 something odd years.
It's only him and Tom Seaver.
That's it. And you find some gaudy way to lose that game. That is a deflating, dejecting feeling. And that permeates your organization like the flu virus when something like that happens. Well, it highlights your deficiencies. It minimizes all your accomplishments of that game. It screams, this is what the hell is wrong with our team. And to answer the question, I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why it's so dejecting and so deflating is because it's the same song and dance for years now. Yeah, exactly. And now it's pretty freaking obvious where it lies. It's the bullpen, it's the closing, it's the back end pitching.
Always been.
And hey, look no further, man. Microcosm. That game is a microcosm.
I was just about to say that.
Further. The two examples I have are the Giants series where we're putting 10-run game after 13-run game together, and I just can't get our bullpen to stop giving up hits so we can keep a lead, or the Aaron Nola game against the Mets. It's one of two can be microcosms of the season.
Last year, the game against the Blue Jays, when the Phillies were up, I think it was like 11-5 or something like that, and they ended up losing that game. That was a season-defining loss.
Also in a doubleheader.
Yes, the first game of the doubleheader against the Mets, that's a season-defining loss right there. Like after that game, I was like, no, I thought that was a perfect.
And it sucks because they're low-key on a 2-game winning streak. They won the next 2 games, and I still haven't forgiven them for the Aaron Nola loss. Like I still remember that more than the next 2 wins. They low-key won game 2 and won yesterday.
They lost Saturday and won Sunday, but they played well. They played well in every game, more or less, except they couldn't get over the hump in the 2 games they lost.
Boys, I got to take the other side. And why I don't know if it's belief or I think it's just circumstance. Because right now, if you're Dombrowski and you're looking at this team, you have JT Realmuto and Bryce Harper, as well as Zach Wheeler here for another year guaranteed. You need to do something. So it's not, to me, it becomes less about whether this team can be fixed, and it becomes more about I have to do something because there's no other option. There's no option to rebuild. There's no option to trade Realmuto. There's no option to trade Harper. There's no option to trade Wheeler. You have to do what you can. So, and it's people, again, I've never seen this before in my life. I've never seen anybody fall victim to a guy who has shown you who he is over his baseball career while also having damnable off the field qualities. People allowed themselves to get sucked right back into the Odubel Herrera train.
Doobie, talking about Doobie?
People allow themselves to get sucked right back into this train when he played well for a certain stretch of time, and now he is back to being a 240 hitter with
worse.
Agreed.
Like,
Agreed. He benefits from a team who got no other option. Guy only got no who.
So that's where my train of thought's going. Like it's you need there are very clear paths to the holes that you need. You need and to me, I'm going to go gut teams like the Rockies. I'm going to go gut teams like the Mariners. Like, give me Mitch Haniger. Give me Daniel Bard out of the Rockies bullpen. Give me John Gray. Give me Yerman Marquez. Like, all of these names are guys that you can bring in to at least give it an attempt to try and fix this.
And we can wrap up the Phillies thing a little bit. I know we got a little bit more to talk to on the other half, but I'm just curious because I can be sold on this idea. Like, I'm not a believer in the Phillies, but I'm dying to believe in the Phillies, right? Like, I want to be sold on this. So on that note, where it's like, yeah, okay, like I don't think they will, but I'd like to buy. My thing is, who do you have to offer if you are buying? Like, who would you trade? Are you thinking maybe try and flip Reese to an AL team who can use him as a DH? Or are you looking down in the AA, AAA? Are you shipping out Stott? Like, what are you thinking?
I would be more willing to part with guys like Didi, Gene, Reese, and bring up. It clears money, and it gives these young guys chances to show it. I mean, Bryson Stott's on a hot tear. It gives you a chance to, move another guy to third base, play Bohm at first, and get out of this slump that you're in defensively. It's just something needs to happen. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not a proponent for trading Reese, but at the end of the day, I mean, you could even go look at the Cubs who have kind of fallen off and rekindle these Chris Bryant trade talks, which I think could do wonders for the locker room in terms of pairing him with Bryce Harper. You got options. So I don't think I think it's less in terms of can they be fixed and more in terms of you need to try, unfortunately. That's going to do it for our main event. Our halftime, I got to give you a little bit of plug here. We saw our guy Brandon Apter comment a little bit earlier in the show. He was brought to us by our friends over at PHL Sports Nation. Check out our friends over at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. I love those guys over there. They sent us some great guests like Brandon Apter we mentioned before, Mr. Jolliker. It's we hope to continue getting. I'm sorry,
Mr. Rice. Don't forget.
Jeremy was incredible last week. Hopefully, we get him back on here. Talk a little bit of Sixers when they're not exactly in the spotlight, but seriously, go check out our guys over at PHL Sports Nation. They do a great job covering all of your Philadelphia sports teams. Our second half, gentlemen. Our second half is going to be a little bit of rapid fire. We'll keep it a little bit rapid since I know we've been going a little bit long. Game on the line. Game on the line. Who do you want taking the shot? And you can't say Damian Lillard. JJ.
I know he came up short in the only sample size we have of him. Seth Curry showed himself to be a big shot maker in that series.
In the whole NBA?
Oh, in the whole NBA. My goodness. NBA. In the whole NBA.
I was shocked. I was like, why not his brother then?
You went with the wrong Curry.
No. Actually, game on the line. I'm going Kevin Durant. And I know same thing. I know he missed the last game winning shot that he had, but the man played 48 minutes.
I know.
By himself. So I give him a pass for that one. By the way, he hit the shot 2 possessions before, and if his foot wasn't a size 13, they win that game. So I'm going Kevin Durant.
I like that. It's a good pick. Josh.
Man, so this I got a bit of an odd answer because this stems from his college days. Give me Cardiac Kemba, a guy who can just
What is wrong with you?
In the whole NBA?
Like what? I can be
everybody
like Klay Thompson or like Curry or something like that. That's no fun. Like it's no fun to do that.
Yeah, but it's not fun to pick a stupid answer
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Kemba.
Look, I love Cardiac Kemba. I'll never forget what he did with these
You want to know what
Go ahead. Go ahead. Show
I
your
didn't
work.
want to say
Show
it.
your work.
I
Show
didn't
your
want
work.
to say it. Jimmy Butler. Okay.
Much
I
better.
did not want to
That's
say
better,
it.
honestly.
I did not want to say it, but it's true. I mean, we saw it. We saw it here so many times. He's the only guy I've ever seen do it in Philly. It's Jimmy Butler. And I don't want to say it, but you made me.
All right. If I'm going current NBA, it's got to be Steph. I don't know why he wasn't taken before. Clearly, you guys
I don't like Steph Curry.
Clearly, you guys have been smoking something today. It's all right. I gotta go, Steph. Can I extend this back a couple years to somebody who has recently retired? Can I do that?
Derek Fisher.
Sure.
Ray Allen.
Oh, Ray Allen.
Give me some Jesus.
Yeah.
Give me some
Shuttlesworth. Give me some Shuttlesworth. Yes, sir.
I'll take Ray Allen. If you give me,
I'm
the option,
gonna stand on my KD.
If you give me KD is a very good choice. But if you're giving me the option, I'm gonna take me some Ray Allen.
Okay.
Rapid fire question number 2. Given the choice, you can only pick one. Are you watching the Phillies regular season? And I can't really answer this question because I got one on the background right now. Given the option, are you watching the Phillies regular season or the Stanley Cup final? JJ.
As much as it pains me to watch the Phillies, at least I know where the ball is when I watch the sport on the screen. At least I know the rules of the game when I'm watching the sport on the screen. So it's going to take a lot of self-care the next day. Might need some therapy, but I'm going to have to watch a regular season Phillies game. Or stare at the wall, watch the paint dry. I don't know which ones.
I'm here for you. If you need to talk, I'll be your Phillies psychiatrist.
Look, I almost mentally gave up after the Aaron Nola loss. I mentally gave up on them so much that I completely the fact that they won the next 2 games after that didn't offset it for me.
It kind of felt like a predictable Phillies loss was like that loss to the Giants after the 10-run outburst versus the Giants. I'm actually really upset at myself that I didn't put money on it. That was the most predictable Phillies loss of all time.
It's all coming a mile away.
Are we talking about the Giants or the Nationals?
The Giants.
Okay. Because I thought the Nationals, the 12-13 game.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
when they went to the 9th up 1, I was like, well, the Nationals already won this game.
Yeah, I was actually pretty surprised. Josh, Phillies regular season or Stanley Cup Finals?
Oh, it's just hilarious because my answer is also the Phillies regular season game. I'm going to watch the Stanley Cup tonight, but it's not on TV1. You know what I mean? It'll be the backup during the Phillies commercials. It's crazy.
Or you can watch the Suns close out in the Western Conference Finals, man.
I'll watch that too. It's just it's and I'm not a hockey guy. It's a good storyline. It's a good matchup, and still I'm watching this horrible baseball team instead. Tanner, man.
Yeah, I'm a masochist.
Yep.
I'm a masochist. I'm gonna watch the Phillies game until the last out. But with that being said, I do think people should give this Stanley Cup Finals more attention. I mean, you have a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I'm not even going to venture to guess the amount of years. It has been a long time, fellas. So the Habs are on a roll. You got a bunch of big names there, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are a good. It feels like the Lightning are always missing someone, though. They're so good, but they're always missing a Stamkos, a Kucherov, a Point. It's someone's always out, and they are still so good. So I mean, I think the Stanley Cup Finals needs a little bit more attention. But Josh, like you were saying, TV number 2 or screen number 3 is going to be the Western Conference Finals because I like watching the Suns play. Rapid fire question number 3 to wrap it up. And I like this. What's the hardest thing to do in sports, boys? I know this has been going around social media quite a bit.
Hot topic. I posted this on my Instagram story, Josh. I like the fact that you put it on in here. I've had this debate with a lot of people, and I truly think the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit like off a starting pitcher in the MLB, hit a 95+ mile an hour fastball wherever it's placed. If you've never been in a batter's box with a fastball going that fast, painted on a corner, I know they did a sports science on this a couple of years ago, and they said you have like less than half a second to react to decide if you're going to swing the bat or not. So
I don't know, you get a hit, you know.
like it's. I just think the singular act. I think hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports.
Josh?
I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with that, but I just want to throw out another answer, because it's the only thing I could come up with that maybe came close, and it was saving a penalty kick, like especially in like a do or die moment as a soccer goalie. But even that, it's really luck. Like a lot of that is luck. So I do think it's hitting a baseball, but I think saving a penalty is the only thing I could come up with that would compete.
Now, I think the hardest position to play in sports is quarterback, hands down, like a quarterback of an NFL team. But I think the hardest thing to do is baseball. Is hit a baseball.
I got mad respect for goalies. I'm a goalie guy.
Goalie for soccer or hockey?
Both.
Hockey.
I go both.
Hockey. I'm gonna go 1A. It'd be hitting a baseball because there's nothing that they moved the NBA 3-point line back, but I don't think that quite equates to the NBA having real discussions. There's nothing in sports that you've had so many conversations around trying to make it easier for the hitter, like doctoring baseballs, changing the just the way baseballs are made, while also talking about widening the batter's boxes, talking about widening the strike zone.
Pitchers aids away so they can't grip the ball.
I'm not even going to get into sticky stuff, but you're even talking about moving the mound back to make it like hitting a baseball is incredible. You have something like 0.44 seconds to react to a pitch of, I think the sample size was like 90 to 95 miles per hour.
Yeah,
you have Jacob deGrom throwing 102 by you.
You almost have to start your swing when it's released, and it's whether you stop yourself from swinging or not whether you swing or not. Because you got to be swinging, and it's whether I just stop my hands from going through the strike zone or not. Because if you wait till it's released to start your swing, you're going to be late every single time.
You literally have to start your swing as, if not before, the ball is being released. Like it is what it is. But my 1B would be hockey goalie, because you're literally being screened the entire game when it's in your end, and you're trying to track a puck coming at you over 100 miles an hour through bodies that are trying to smack you, like they're trying to rough you up. You get stick checks in there, stick pokes in there all the time, and it's just like it's there. You see so many goals scored on deflections. Like how, like I'm not sure how you're supposed to do that while wearing that amount of pads, and it's just I'm going to go 1A 1B right there for me. That fair?
That's fair.
Very fair.
Beautiful. Gentlemen, it's time to wrap up right now with tap outs. Who anybody got one off the top of their head?
I do. I got a slight one. I'll go first. So Signe McLaughlin today came out and broke the world record for the 400-meter hurdles. 400-meter hurdles. Tongue twister. 400-meter hurdles today in the U.S. Olympic trials. She's going to Tokyo. Is going to represent the U.S. on the 400-meter hurdles. It's just a reoccurring theme of not only I'll say long-time tenured track running athletes kind of reasserting their careers at the U.S. Olympic trials this year. Allison Felix also came in second in her event, is going to go to Tokyo as well. But it's just an overall theme of how good the U.S. track and field team is this year. And I don't know if this is me practicing, a little bit of ethnocentrism or not, just thinking the U.S. is just better than everybody. But I really don't see any other country touching the U.S. track and field team this summer at the Olympics. Now, I know there's a woman down in Jamaica, Shelly Ann, I'm forgetting her last name, but she and Sha'Carri Richardson are like going to be toe-to-toe on the grand stage with the world watching for the 100-meter sprint for track. But other than that, for women's at the very least, I don't see anyone really touching the U.S. I'm excited for it. Excited for Tokyo.
Locked
Josh,
in.
what do you got?
Locked in.
You guys are locked in the Olympics, man. I am like, I'm not gonna say like disinterested is more like in terms of like the Olympics as a whole. I think I'm only gonna tune into track and field just because there's so
2020, the pandemic really like showed me that I love all big sporting events, and the fact that the Olympics got taken away from me last year hurt. So I cannot wait for the Olympics.
I'll tell you what, some of the best times I've ever had in a bar were during the Summer Olympics when swimming was on the TV.
Oh, I forgot about swimming.
The
I'm
U.S.
not sure
the
what it
U.S.
is.
women's swim team, no one's touching them either. No,
That's
because the
good.
U.S. might break.
I'm
Hey,
not
David,
sure what it is. I'll never watch swimming outside of the Olympics, but I'll tell you what, boys, that was electric.
Yeah.
And
Inside
here's
the
the
bar.
thing. I'll let you go right after this, Josh. I think the Olympics serves such a good point and a good purpose in society, especially right now where a country that is so divided needs one common goal to rally against, somebody else for this one thing. We're all on the same team. It doesn't matter your political party, your stance on societal views. Like, we are all on the same roster now, competing for the best, the biggest, and most grand sporting event the world has to offer. Like, so I'm so ready for the Olympics. I'm so ready to just, finally cheer on my country.
Love that. I love that.
I could do without the Olympics. I think I'm a Winter Olympics guy because, like, I root against the USA when it comes to basketball. It makes me so mad to see them beat up on these poor little countries. Like, you're Kevin Durant. Like, of course you're gonna like. Of course you are.
That's not our fault. That's not our fault.
Yeah, I literally root against the USA in basketball.
You root against Jamaica in track?
No.
I'm so
They beat
confused
up on
by
every
you.
other country in track.
I'm so confused by you.
I don't get. I don't know.
Like, if I can root for Gabriel Saric in Croatia against USA, like, I'm going.
So in what is it, 2019, 2018, when the Celtics starters were getting blown up in the FIBA World Championships, you were liking that?
Listen, who cares about the FIBA World Championships? It's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. It's just not. But what I'm getting at here is I'm gonna take the same thing here. International sports. Have you fellas tuned into these Euros? Because I know Max tapped us out.
They're great.
I'm gonna carry the baton for Mr. Digits here, who Mr. Buying a House man. But the Euros, oh my goodness. I did a little radio show earlier today, and I hopped out and I caught the Spain-Croatia finish. And then I turned off France versus Switzerland when France went up 3-1. I turned it off. Next thing I know, I'm getting a text. I'm getting a text from buddies. The game's in extra time. And I'm like, I turned it off. I had no idea what's going on. Incredible upset. Switzerland beat France. Netherlands is already out. They lost to Czech. So you fellas know what that means.
Which is wild.
It's coming home, boys. It's
right.
coming.
Football's coming home again.
I will be. I got to do a little research on the interwebs and find out a nice English bar in Philadelphia. I will be there at 3 p.m. cheering on.
It is not going back to England.
Germany. Oh, man.
Football's coming home, Banners.
No shot.
With France out, it's up for grabs.
I've never seen, but England, I've never seen a team win and then sit their top three most influential players the next game. Like, England's just not well managed.
Hey, it's the Southgate era, Banners. It's a new era.
Whatever. Oh, boys, my tap out is baseball's got an identity crisis.
Dude, yes.
Talk to him.
It does not market their players well as our Phillies take a lead off of an Alec Boehm. It looks like a double. Baseball has an identity crisis, and I don't think it's being full. People are trying their best on social media. They're really trying. But I don't think anybody really realizes exactly what we have going on in Anaheim, California. Now, I'm not going to correlate this to team success, because we all know baseball is a sport where individual success does not correlate to team success
at all, one bit.
But you are watching Mike Trout, not right now because of the injury, but Mike Trout could possibly be at the end of his career, and the numbers are trending that way, to be the greatest player to ever step on a baseball diamond. Now, that is not the point of my argument. However, the point of my argument is the other person on that roster who has completely taken the game by storm and who should be an MVP candidate for this league. And I'm so glad he is not American born. Shohei Ohtani is an absolute marvel to watch. 2 weeks ago, there was a post where he got on top of a 95-mile-per-hour fastball that was at his eye level. I've never seen anybody do that. Yesterday, he inside out a 95-mile-per-hour fastball inside on the backside, on the glove side of the pitcher, to the opposite field for a 383 foot bomb. I've never seen anybody do that. I'm not even going to talk about what he's doing on the mound. We are watching two absolutely transcendent stars in the baseball universe, and it's a damn shame
and
that
also,
most people on the East Coast don't stay up to watch West Coast baseball.
And
it
Ben,
really is.
He had a 2-run home run that exit velocity was 117 miles per hour tonight.
And more to your point, not even just what Shohei's doing. The back and forth that Tatis and Vlad Jr. had for that week, that was so entertaining. They should have highlighted that. Literally going back and forth, game on different time zones, game,
exactly.
Taking the home run lead from each other. The MLB's got to really they got to do something, man.
They've got such a good problem because it felt like up until now, the age of children of superstars never really came because the children always either fell short or carved out their own career, but they never were directly relatable to their parents. Their parents were always better. Right now, what we're watching is Fernando Tatis is very much so better than his father. Vlad Guerrero is directly comparable to his father, who is a
same person as his father. Literally the same person as his father.
Bo Bichette is gonna give his father Dante a run for the money. Like, don't sleep on Dante Bichette's career numbers. Go back and look at him. Like, it's compare these guys to guys like, and I hate to do this because Tony Gwynn Jr. he's a nice guy, but like Tony Gwynn Jr. and Tony Gwynn Sr. that is worlds of difference. Like what we're seeing right now is incredible to watch. So I think it's a real shame to scroll through comment sections and see people post comments like post a real sport and stuff like that, because baseball is really fun to watch right now, as long as you're not watching the Philadelphia Phillies. So I just hope Rob Manfred either loses his job or pulls his head out of his ass pretty soon, because
I hope he loses his job.
I hope he loses his job because, to be quite honest,
owners got to come together.
Go ahead and cheat. I love it. Go ahead and cheat. Do it.
He said it.
He said it,
America.
And I want to talk about that on the next episode. But
we're coming right back to that. My
stance is go ahead and cheat.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for us here on Trust the Process Live. Those are our tap outs. Again, check out our friends over at PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your sports fan experience. They brought us some great guests. And if you missed those guests, or if you missed us talk live right now, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, anywhere in between. Philadelphia, it's been fun as always talking to you from my guys here. We are Trust the Process Live, brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly. Have a good week, Philly. We'll see you next time.